Well, it's the beginning of a brand new week, which you all know means more records being broken by the Odyssey. The Odyssey, which is a film that, hey, listen, I got to admit right up front here that initially, if you go back, 6 months or whatever ago, I thought it's a Christopher Nolan film. It'll be huge. It'll be big. I had my doubts that it could hit $1 billion. I thought it was within the realm of possibility, but I had my doubts it could hit $1 billion. I mean, it's going to be R-rated. It's, all this kind of stuff. Then again, Oppenheimer got close. Had my doubts. Well, it got to $1 billion, no problem. And it got to $1 billion fairly easily. But now it's crossed several more major box office thresholds, as the folks over at Deadline are now reporting that The Odyssey has become Christopher Nolan's biggest hit of his career. Yes, it has passed his Dark Knight movies, and now sitting at $1.1 billion. Christopher Nolan's biggest film of his career. And by the way, it's still rolling. It made a bunch more money this weekend. It's going to continue to make money, which is absolutely crazy. But there's a couple of other significant little things to note in all of this. One of which is that not only is it now Christopher Nolan's biggest film, it is now the biggest film in IMAX history. And that really probably doesn't surprise a lot of people, because the Odyssey, I still get messages from people saying, I still had to book my tickets 6 weeks out to go see the Odyssey if I wanted to go see it at the 70 millimeter IMAX. So it shouldn't come as any surprise. It's made a little under $300 million just on IMAX screens. And again, for IMAX, that is an all-time record for them. So it's now the biggest Christopher Nolan movie. It's now the biggest IMAX movie, but also it's achieved some pretty neat things here in this year. With the results of this weekend's box office, the Odyssey has now leapfrogged over films like Super Mario Galaxy. These are all billion-dollar films. It has now passed Super Mario Galaxy movie. It has passed Michael. It has passed Toy Story, as the Odyssey now sits only behind Spider-Man Brand New Day as the biggest film of 2026, sitting right now at $1.1 billion. It has also, by the way, passed Joker to become the second biggest grossing R-rated film in history. It now only trails behind Deadpool and Wolverine at $1.3 billion, a mark I said the Odyssey could never catch. Well, I might have to be walking that one back too in about 2 weeks, because it actually looks now like it does have a shot at passing Deadpool and Wolverine to become the highest grossing R-rated film of all time. And again, it is notable to see that not only has it passed movies like Toy Story, Michael, and Super Mario Galaxy to be the highest grossing just behind Spider-Man Brand New Day, which we're going to talk about that movie a little bit later in the show, but it's the speed at which it's done it. It has crossed the $1 billion mark faster than any of those films even got to 800 million. So it's still on this ridiculously high pace. Again, want to remind everybody, just for historical context, this only became the third R-rated film in history to join the $1 billion club. In the long history of big R-rated films, only 3 have ever done it. Deadpool, Wolverine, Joker, and now Odyssey. And now Odyssey's past Joker and closing in on Deadpool, Wolverine. So this, to me, guys, is absolutely insane that it is still rolling like this. It is still making more money. I have now heard from certain websites, guys, that the Odyssey needs to make $3.7 billion to break even. That's the word going around. Now it's $3.7 billion it needs to break even. Wow. But be that as it may, Kristian, Nolan's biggest film ever, IMAX's biggest film ever, has passed all the other films of 2026 and now only sits behind Spider-Man Brand New Day. And now taken the second spot to be the biggest R-rated film of all time. Which one of those 4 stands out to you as kind of being the most notable, most impressive? And what are you thinking about the run this thing's on right now?
It's what you said before. It's the speed in which it's doing it. And it's also the fact that when this movie was announced and when they started to have the trailers and everything and the hype started getting around it, a lot of us were saying this is going to be another, because I said, look, Oppenheimer, a movie about the guy who made the atomic bomb, made almost $1 billion on his last one out. He made that. Most directors, might get acclaim, might be able to put together all that stuff that, puts together for Academy Awards and everything too. But very few directors are able to put together that type of story and get almost $1 billion. I don't care about Barbenheimer and all that stuff too. Sure, that helped, but it also was the fact that Nolan's name and what he brings to filmmaking got people excited. So when this movie, which is way more accessible to all audiences, was announced, and the fact that when you make a good sword and sandals type movie based obviously off of everything that everyone read in high school, you have an opportunity. I thought it would make $1 billion. I always thought it would make $1 billion. I just didn't know that it would A, make it this quick, and B, I always thought, if you asked me, what do you think would have made more money, Toy Story or the Odyssey? I was like, well, Toy Story is definitely going to do it, because Toy Story is an hour and a half. It's the next one in the franchise. Parents can take their kids to see it, and because kids can't see the Odyssey, so we're going probably like 1.5, 1.6. I thought Toy Story even had a shot to beat Spider-Man. How stupid I was on as far as that goes, But this movie, Odyssey, beat Toy Story, and it's going to continue. I think it will beat Deadpool and Wolverine, because I went to the movies over the weekend, and I was walking into, and I saw these two old ladies walking into the theater, and I took my kid to see Paw Patrol, and I said to the ladies jokingly, I was like, "You guys here to see Paw Patrol, right?" She's like, "No, we here to see the Odyssey." And I was like, "Oh," and they were like probably in their 70s going to see the Odyssey, and I'm like, "It's just talking. Everybody's going to see it," and So I think the fact that it did that, and that it is going to be probably, it won't be the number 2 movie of the year, but it'll probably be number 3 for the entire year, which is
worst.
Well, what could beat beat
Doomsday, Dune.
I think Dune 3
Spider-Man.
has an outside shot.
People keep saying, look, there's no one that would be happier if Dune is hitting the kind of numbers that people have been predicting. I just think that movie is too I don't know if intricate's the word, but I just think it's too detailed. I think the movie's going to make like 800 million, which is a big number.
I actually, if I had to put $5 down, that's where I think it lands.
Yeah.
Is there. The reason I'll say I think it's got a shot, like I won't fall out of my chair if it also crosses that $1 billion mark, is number 1, the momentum of the last film. Number 2, the radical jump in box office from 1 to 2. Definitely. If it can repeat that from 2 to 3, which I'm not saying that it will or that that's a given, but if it could, but
John, it didn't have Doomsday to compete against.
Right. Now, what some people might say to that, and what we have to actually wait and see, is does the opposite in fact happen, where it enjoys a Barbenheimer effect, where the rising tide raises all ships? I'm not saying it will. Yeah, I'm not saying that it will at all. I'm just saying I acknowledge that possibility is there. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think the 3 spot is probably exactly where it ends up. I'm just saying I'm not going to throw anybody out of the room if they think that Dune has a possibility of maybe overtaking it as well. But again, I think at worst it comes in at the number 4 at this
3 or 4. 3 or 4 spot is fine, but I think that the atmosphere of this year and movie going and whatever is in the water, what we saw with Spider-Man and Odyssey, with this record-breaking crowds coming to theaters, we're going to see again at the end of the year. I'm a firm believer, and it's not all going to be 100% because of Doomsday. It will be because of Dune. There's just so much enthusiasm for going to theaters right now. So,
by the way, did you guys see that? I think it was Bloomberg had this cover article called "The Year We Went Back to the Movies."
Yeah,
which is it was really quite interesting, talking about also the generational shift. Like pre-2019, it was a certain age bracket that was the majority of people going to the movies. Now it's a different age bracket that's majority going back. It's pretty interesting. And I think there's a lot of fascinating things to see what happens when Doomsday happens.
I agree, but I think that all those movies, whether it's Obsession or Backrooms or Spider-Man or this movie, all 4 of those movies treated the audience with respect. All 4 of them treated the audience with intellectual stories, character building, emotional storylines, and they didn't just rely on sloppy CGI and just shove popcorn in your face and watch the same shit that you've watched a million times over, that a lot of these studios do again and again and again. Go, how come nobody's seeing the movies? Because we've seen it a million times. That's why, like, Supergirl could have been something interesting with the actual graphic novel, but instead it was just a broken story of edited together nonsense.
Yeah.
That, and I use that as just an example that the studios keep doing again and again and again. Will they take note, or will they keep trying to just make copies of everything else? Who knows?
And that's why I think Dune 3 has a shot at maybe hitting $1 billion.
Maybe.
Again, my $5 would be in complete agreement with you, Krish. I think 800 is the realistic.
That's still a good number.
It would be amazing.
It's a huge number.
Yeah, a huge
Awesome
number for an
number.
R-rated film. Anyway, guys, the question is for you. What do you think about this? The Odyssey continues trekking, passing several more major thresholds this week. Which one is most impressive to you? How big do you think it can be? Do you think it will ever get to that ever-moving break-even number? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Ultra Pouches. A lot of people use nicotine thinking it'll give them a little extra focus or even help before a workout. But nicotine is a vasoconstrictor. It narrows your blood vessels and can actually work against that pump and recovery that you're looking for. That's where Ultra Pouches come in. What you're really going to like about them is that they're 100% nicotine-free and caffeine-free. They're designed to give you smooth energy and focus without the nicotine crash. Pop one in before a workout or when you're sitting down for a long work session, and it's an incredibly convenient little boost. Ultra is the ultimate guilt-free pouch, delivering instant focus and mental clarity without nicotine or caffeine. New customers can use the code CAMPEA to get 15% off at takeultra.com. That's TAKEULTRA.com for 15% off with the code CAMPEA. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that our show sent you.